If we're debating whether or not a baby is a person, that is a philosophical debate.
Right.
No,
It's moral value. The moral value of the baby, yes.
You can think
The humanity, no.
You can think that at 6 weeks the baby is alive, and then that's your choice to not kill the baby. But if we want to get abortions, then we can get abortions.
So what if?
You can get sued by a parent.
Yeah. Basically, that's when we count it as legally alive. If you're going to,
Well, you know that it used to be that we did recognize, right, prior to that every state in this country had laws against abortion prior to the Roe versus Wade decision, right? There were 7 states that had passed some light legalities, right? Mostly under the pretenses of rape and incest. So for hundreds of years, abortion was criminal in this country, right? Since we legalized abortion, suddenly we don't know when human life begins. We did before that. We were pretty clear. Science was pretty clear. If a pregnant woman walked into an OBGYN clinic and she said, hey, I'm pregnant, the doctor will, and still a doctor will say, well, let's see if we can get your baby's heartbeat. Sit down on the table, let's get an ultrasound. That's great. Do you have a name for the baby yet? So OBGYN and a mom and a dad are going to talk about the baby in the womb. That's how it works.
I think a lot.
It only changes if we suddenly say, well, we don't want the baby. Now all of a sudden we act like we got amnesia, and we pretend we don't know when human life begins, and we pretend it's a great scientific mystery. It's not a great scientific mystery. When sperm meets egg, the moment of conception, a unique individual human life comes into existence. That's when your life began.
we count that as a person.
Now that's a good question. Now that's a good question. How would we answer that?
At what point?
Yeah. How do we decide that?
I would say
And what are the criteria we would use to even evaluate that?
we cannot legislate that into law because
Why not?
it's different for every single.
That's exactly what this is trying to do. This is trying to legislate a particular viewpoint into law.
What that would do.
It's imposing.
That says everyone is free to determine when that.
Yeah, so it's imposing a particular definition. It's saying you are not a baby until viability.
People the freedom to decide when
To
that
kill.
becomes a person.
No, it says you can kill a baby up to viability for any reason.
Yes. And
Up to 24 weeks, late into the second trimester.
What abortion is, it's
Yeah, so you are stripping away the current laws.
abortion.
No, it's not healthcare.
Yes,
There's no medical necessity to get 99.9% of abortions.
Yes, it is.
This isn't about medical necessity. This isn't about medical necessity. Medical necessity is already legal.
Yes, it is.
This is about unrestricted abortion up to 9 months.
You're misunderstanding.
That's what this is about. Unrestricted abortion up to 9 months. Read the amendment.
So there was the case of a woman in Texas. Her doctor had recommended that she get an abortion if she wanted to have kids in the future, and she did. But because of Texas, could not get an abortion.
That's a lie. Yeah, you're lying.
That is dumb.
You're feeding propaganda. You're feeding propaganda. I know Texas's law very well.
Anyways,
Do you know that no woman has ever been prosecuted under Texas law?
it's not about prosecution.
Do you know a woman has ever been no woman has ever been prosecuted?
Women have been prosecuted.
Do you know how many abortions? Do you know they have not? That has not happened a single time. The guys that founded America, they thought very deeply about this. They drank from the well of great Protestant Christian theology on politics and government and law. And so one of their influences was a guy named John Locke. I'm sorry. John Locke was, yeah, he was. But another guy that I was appealing to is a guy named Samuel Rutherford. He wrote a book called Lex Rex. It was read by all of our founding fathers. And what Lex Rex is, the law is king. And so they were writing against monarchy, as was the law in England. That the Christians, they were fighting. They were fighting for real religious freedom against monarchy. The king could annihilate you with limitations. But so what they argued is that even the king is under the law. The law, and they appealed not to changing man's laws and changing man's opinions. They appealed to God's law. John Locke appealed to God's law. William Blackstone appealed to God's law. There was this universal recognition of the laws of God, and all human authority is under the law of God. And God has revealed his law in the scriptures and in the Christian religion. Broadly and understood, a broad historical orthodoxy, right? And so that was one of those ideas, was the idea of universal human value. The value of women and children, right? The ancient Roman world didn't respect women and children's rights. There was no such thing.
And neither did the ancient Christian world either.
Sure they did. Absolutely they did. Sure they did. The first laws that protected women and children and gave them equality was after the Roman Empire was Christianized. Absolutely. Look at Constantine, some of his reforms, and then for the centuries after that. Absolutely.
Yeah, Eastern Orthodoxy, but not Protestantism.
Well, Protestantism didn't come around to the 1500s.
Yeah, and a lot of Protestant and even Catholic regimes did not give women those rights.
Give me an example of one.
Women, off the top of my head, even like
Luther's Germany was very tolerant of very women had tremendous rights in Luther's Germany. In England, women were on the throne. England was the There you
Says
go.
who?
Amen.
Who the fuck says?
Well, God, if He exists, if God exists, then He would be an authority, right?
Created them man and woman
In biological
with
design.
different roles.
Correct.
And can you prove there are different roles?
Yeah, they. I mean,
The way I live my life is not the way that
Let me-
man.
right. Like, well, here's one example. She can get pregnant. I can't. She carries a baby for 9 months in her womb. Do you know the biological connections between a mother and a baby that exist? That as a dad, I'm a dad of 11 kids. I love my kids, and I try to keep a close connection to my kids. But I will never have the type of a chemical bond that my wife does with my kids. You carry a child for 9 months, developing in your womb, living off your body. Mothers have a mother's intuition that stays with them till they die. Mothers at 70 years old still get this intuition about their kids, right? And so that's real biology. We can't just dismiss that. The modern feminist movement would say there's nothing there. Motherhood is actually, something to be trampled upon. They do, right? I mean, what did Kamala Harris? She'll be our first female president. She'll also be the first, woman to hold a high level of office that has never had a child, and she doesn't want a child. Taylor Swift said that she's voting for Kamala Harris precisely for the reason because Kamala Harris
And that's their choice.
is going to give her the right to have all kind of unbridled sexual
That's their
perversion
choice. They've chosen
and
not
kill
to have
babies.
kids. They've chosen not to have
Right,
kids.
but that's a fundamental denial of our biology.
You don't have to get pregnant.
We're right.
The goal of life is not to just reproduce.
I never said it's the goal of life, but it is
The goal
a
of
goal.
life is subjective. That's on you to find out for yourself.
Really? Did you
If
create
wanna
yourself?
have kids, then go ahead.
Hang on. Did you create yourself?
No.
So then what gives you the authority to define what the purpose of your life is?
What gives you the authority to define what?
I don't. I never said I had that authority. You're the one that's saying you have that authority. I'm saying God has that authority, that there's a higher law. I'm saying there's a higher, dude, if I did what I wanted to do, dude, I used to be a dog, man. Like my life had to change dramatically. I had to learn massive self-denial that was not a dog, not a furry. I mean like a sexual dog. Like I was a very undisciplined man who did not respect and honor women. I was raised on gangster rap music, and bitches and hoes. That was how I was raised. And God changed my life radically at 19 years old. I realized I was a selfish, sinful person. Christ saved me. I realized the love of God was far greater than any drug I'd ever done, any sexual escapade, and Christ radically transformed me. And he taught me how to love women, and and how to be a father, and that's hard. It's very hard, but it's really where life's meaning is found, right?
I don't think we really have a creator.
How do you think we got it?
We just kind of came into being.
Why
That really is just it.
I mean, that's one theory. That's one theory, but
Why is there a universe?
I'm not into physics. You'd have to
Yeah.
ask a physicist
So we
about
would-
that.
there are Christian physicists.
Say
There
Big
are.
Bang, right?
Yeah.
Typically, right?
You know someone made that, right?
Yeah, someone made the chair.
So you know.
We've never met the maker.
But that,
We've never
that's
seen
not
him.
a living thing. Like,
Yeah, all the more
chair-
how
the chair is not
complicated is
alive.
life for it to not
Exactly.
be
tool that we have built ourselves. Humans are not tools, and thus we don't have builders per se.
We have a design, though. We have a design. So to your point, you're even making his point even more so, because human life especially, is even more complex than this. But think about this: when have we? Yeah, you're a bit on him. When have you ever seen human life created? So from a scientific standpoint, what is demonstrable and observable, testable and reproducible? We've only ever seen life come into existence from another living organism, another living being. Living beings produce living beings, right? We've never seen a living being come into existence from non-living matter. Has it ever happened?
Scientists have actually been able to simulate the same thing.
Irresponsible, selfish men all love Amendment 4.
The raw organic materials that were at the beginning of life, and they hit them with lightning and nothing happens. They run the experiment multiple times with environments that are similar to the basis of Earth, and it's actually not happened.
You know what the Miller Dewey thing? My name is Jason. Chris, hey, thanks for talking, man. I appreciate the thoughtful discussion.